One, we all live in a world where we cannot leave our phones for less than 15 minutes. Technology has been all around us and plays a significant role in our lives, our community, and our country. And the advancement of technology will only continue. We want to benefit Malaysia with the change of technology's evolution and its significance. There's two things we have to prove in today's debate, but before I dive into it, let me give you a brief outline of what I'm going to do in today's debate. First, I would like to say how we adapt to Malaysia's challenge worldwide. Second, what Malaysia's capacity is. Third, Malaysia's political incentive. Fourth, why the chips are so important. And lastly, how the chips differentiate with other technology advancements in the world we see. So what do we have to do in order to win this debate? We have two things we have to prove. First, we have to prove how we're able to guide Malaysia to this economic transaction that will actually increase the economic efficiency and growth in a strategic sense. We will allow them to go into the most promising and high-growth industries we are seeing. Second, which will be handled by my TPN, is how to strategically improve Malaysia's political standing within the international politics. So, now I'll begin by talking about point A, how we adapt to Malaysian challenge in a worldwide sense. As we know, a lot of things rely on technology. That means job opportunity losses will occur as artificial intelligence does advance. That means all these primary sectors that covers agriculture and mass production, these will eventually be covered by technology over time. Everything is a matter of time, and we need to have other skill sets be embedded within the community to ensure that we're technology literate, to prevent losing job opportunities on a larger scale. So why is it so important to maintain these job opportunities? For mainly two reasons. The first reason is the idea of the grassroots effect that we're doing here. So essentially, the technology industry needs human capital. That means there's different initiatives attracting talent from universities or secondaries, as evidenced by increased drive of STEM education, where primary schools are more involved in this international competition related to technology, and an increase of mentorship programs and all of these can actually have these public schools aligned with the government policies. That means there's higher access towards technology education. That means there's more advanced researchers, there's more advancement for the younger generation to come here and explore this field. And it's providing that not only do we have so much support, but we can also foster the norm of having these technology literacy. This, by as evidence in the side of training engineering and having 25 billion for innovation, all of these attract talent both locally and on an international scale. And eventually, we are able to see the impact of how technology aligns with the community as a whole. The second reason is the idea of the mindset of the general public. This is linked to the idea of how they strategically allow people to know from a standard point of view of technology, all the way to acknowledging the importance of technology and the impact on an everyday scale. And precisely to that, they will know what kind of career aspirations they have with technology and essentially foster more younger generation to come into this as a whole. Second thing I want to talk about, point B, is what Malaysia's capacity is. With Malaysia being the main actor, once upon a time, yes, it could be developing primary and secondary sectors, but now technology is the most advanced sector. How do we have the capacity to enlarge the scale in Malaysia in order to dive into the world and have more investment and have more economic growth? I'll explain this in three folds. The first one is the idea of people who are more technology literacy. That means they have more education, more innovation opportunities, and then they actually further engage in this industry as ever grows, advancing, and can have actually higher efficiency and bring more economic growth. Second is the idea of most people in Malaysia are bilingual. That means a lot of people can actually speak English. That also means that they have more opportunity to actually have cross-border transactions for the reason of actually having that communication skill and actually being fostering these relationships. And this is so important because you can use this to have these higher international connections and higher experience in these fields. And because of that, there'll be more interaction with other communities and other countries that can further advance their economy as well. And third, my point on economy, they can join BRIC recently, and because of this, they have more strong connection and they have higher financial capacity. That means more government and they can be one of the strongest countries in this field, and because of that, they can have more rapid economic growth, which is what we eventually want to see. Point C is the idea of Malaysia's political incentive. That's how do we ensure that we can play a strategic role within the Western and Asia alliances in total of the Why? Because the current plan inclusive of Malaysia setting these and having more incentive in protecting these semiconductors and the chip. And precisely because of that, the government are likely to have a direct chip share and have ownership upon this. That means the government have an involvement in this. That means they will also have their merge these internal chip companies together in order to foster high collaboration, have more shared knowledge, and have more better cohesion doing it together, and align them to national scale kind of regulation and rules in order to ensure a high efficiency. On their side of the house, however, they will have it more at a more expensive rate, and let's say when economic crisis happens, or COVID-19 again, all of these, the shipping costs increase, the cost that they have to pay for these chips, for these semiconductors, will only increase. This is what we do not want to see as Malaysia's benefit. On the other side, what we are able to do is that we're able to provide them at a lower price. That means there will be higher growth in technology because of how easier it is to be supplied. And this will show impact in people. First, it's able, on a first principle level, able to develop technology and compatible with other Asian economy in terms of prominent chip producers. That means you can actually initiate a higher price as Malaysia on other countries, then other countries can pull in a higher price on you. And second, we're actually able to shift the global supply chain from being a low value added industry to a higher value added industry. And the last thing I'll talk about is how the chip differentiates with other technologies. The chip is the most lucrative and high value industry part of technology. It is the heart of technology. And how do you ensure that there is actually increased interest of these foreign intakes in Asia, TMSCs, and in Malaysia is to attract these foreign investors to increase the rate of how Malaysia can actually expand and grow all these chips. Technology can help, also help other industries such as automation and AI. And essentially, we want to do this in the interest of Malaysia in the most strategic way possible. Thank you.
I think there's two fundamental problems on the side of it. The first problem is that the case itself is very flawed. Because they feel that making semiconductor factories will suddenly make the vast majority of people think that technology is a very important thing. You have to opt technology. I don't really think if you in front of your house a new semiconductor factory comes in, that change is never going to happen. That's one fundamental problem. The second fundamental problem is that they just assert that this like shift of industry is just going to magically success. My speech is going to concentrate on why Malaysia doesn't really have that leverage and capacity to actually drive in the semiconductor business because of a lot of other factors. But before I move on to my substantive, they also have an argument about if Malaysia makes their own chips and they can like use these chips in other things, which is like good for it. I don't really think this is the case because even in the status quo, Malaysia has a lot of mining, right? And essential minerals come from Malaysia, which they use for making semiconductors. Meaning Malaysia already has bargaining power and leverage to actually make their chips more cheaper. So now let's move on to our first argument, which is about competitiveness. I have three mechanisms for this argument. The first thing is that Malaysia is actually concentrating on a lot of tourism and manufacturing business and mining business. I think what you have to note down here is that there is a clear trade-off. Because if you actually opt in to these semiconductor infrastructures, and you have to necessarily cut out these kind of tax ratios that are currently given to these mining business or manufacturing business, meaning Affirmatives can't do both. They can't do both. They can't do like, we're going to do also touring manufacturing and also semiconductor business. There is a clear trade-off in this point. Then, I think the problem is that currently Malaysia doesn't really have enough infrastructure for well-educated people down us for these kind of semiconductor technologies, right? And furthermore, if you look at the input side, it already says that they're going to start with education. They're going to educate 60,000 people, meaning that means that they currently don't really have that much people who are able to use kind of stuff. That is to say that one, it is unclear whether this plan is actually going to success, right? And the second thing means it's unclear how much benefit this kind of shift is actually going to give to the side of Affirmative. That is why all of the inputs coming from the Affirmative side is actually very unclear to begin with. Then, I'll give you some comparative why our impact is very clear. Because foreign manufacturing minor industries are probably going to die. Right? What you have to know down here is that these are the most vulnerable actors. Why is it so? Because if your industry just goes up, then you can't really shift other businesses. For example, in Affirmative's case, when these people are going to educate people for semiconductors, I know these 60,000 people already are probably the college-educated people. Meaning, if they don't go, if Malaysia doesn't go for semiconductor business, these people still have job opportunities within their lives. However, if these manufacturing businesses slow down, then these people don't really have other jobs to do, because what you have to know now is that from these manufacturing businesses, these semiconductor business and corporations are not going to hire these people because they think they don't really have enough education to do their sophisticated stuff. Meaning, these vulnerable actors are going to die out inside of our lid, and that is the end. Let's move on to our second mechanism. The second mechanism is about there's already very strong competitors. What do we mean by this? So, semiconductor business, I think, is relatively already a red ocean business. Why is it so? Because there's already TSMC, there's already Samsung, meaning that these companies already have massive semiconductor producing within the status quo. Then the problem here is that they are not benevolent actors. They are profit-seeking entities, meaning when there's a oligopoly right now in the business of semiconductors, even if the Malaysian government shifts to these semiconductor businesses, they don't really have comparative advantage and a high possibility of getting success. Why is this so? Because one, they don't really have that much knowledge of education or knowledge about these semiconductors, meaning in order for them to success, they need education from TSMC and Samsung. However, I don't really think this is a likely scenario because TSMC and Samsung know a reason to actually give information and education for Malaysia, because now as an oligopoly, they're gaining a lot of profit. However, if there's another entity, another competitor, they're probably going to lose profit, which means they're not going to share their kind of information. And the second reason is just because of oligopoly. When their competitor comes in, they're probably going to lose profit, so they're probably going to make their semiconductors prices very, very low, which means even though Malaysia's success is to make semiconductors, they don't really can sell it to society because their semiconductors are going to be relatively much expensive compared to semiconductors made from Samsung and TSMC, right? Yeah. Now let's move on to our third mechanism. Our third mechanism is comparative advantage of mining. What do I mean by this? So semiconductors and a lot of new technologies such as electrical vehicles in the status quo, essential minerals are very, very important in order to make these kind of things, right? And thus, that means that there's a lack of supply in the status quo, right? So if there's more investment on these mining businesses and manufacturing businesses, I think these comparative advantage because a lot of entities in the status quo need these kind of essential minerals, right? So because now they can have leverage on the mining business, there's going to be a better profit coming from Malaysia. And what you have to note down here is that this is not never going to happen inside Affirmative because mining businesses, it's very easy to just constantly do the same site of mining. However, in order to find new mining sites, it needs a lot of money, it needs a lot of investment. However, private corporations don't really have that incentive to do that in the status quo because it's not that profitable, it's not that efficient. That is the reason why not shifting to semiconductors, however, more investment in these kind of mining industries is essentially important for them to get more essential minerals and get more comparative leverage for Malaysia's economy. And furthermore, we have an Affirmative cannot go this because they have to prepare for to shift to semiconductors and abandon mining businesses. Now, let's move on to our second argument. Our second argument is going to be about FDIs, right? So, I think inside the affirmative case, FDIs will probably leave out from Malaysia. Why is this so? Because if you think about the pre-existing FDIs in Malaysia, they're probably concentrated on manufacturing and, again, mining, right? However, when the Malaysian government is now shifting semiconductors and these FDIs themselves don't really have almost like technology and knowledge about semiconductors, you're going to probably move out of Malaysia and search other countries that are focusing on manufacturing and mining, right? So FDIs are going to be, however, I don't really think FDIs are going to come in, like the semiconductors FDIs are not going to come in, because they have a lot of other options. They can just invest in TSMC, they can just invest in Samsung, right? There's absolutely no reason why these FDIs are going to come into Malaysia. And furthermore, even if they try to pay that there's no probably going to be tax credits from the Malaysian government. I don't really think that private entities like FDIs are going to come into Malaysia because they don't really have this that much probability of success as I already gave you three mechanization, right? And that's the case, one is going to run out from Malaysia, they have to defend the world without this kind of world very powerful game.
I feel shy before I start my speech, so I would say I want to thank my family and family for the people, and thank Andrea for being so good, bring us to have good food in Indonesia and fully enough. And finally, I thank Chantel and Jason for having me throughout this journey. And life's a struggle, life's difficult, life's unfair, but you still choose to pursue your dreams. So we're so proud of you. The first pushback from this team is that our case is not like EC. There have been two main responses. The first one is about the education disparity. Firstly, they say we've already put to the capacity of the latest development in Malaysia right now. For example, we have already recognized that actually people in Malaysia are actually so well equipped. For example, they're mostly valuable, not valuable. We see this kind of adaptability and linguistic advantages actually better equipped them to actually learn much more about the technology itself. Because semiconductor industry is very this information is very mobile throughout social media or even online platforms. So we believe that they have the capacity, even if you say at the lowest roster of people that do not have access to private school education, they still have some sort of degree to access those information to learn and as well. And secondly, we have already told you that the education system in Malaysia is better and better, including the quality of teaching and also more international conferences and also exchanges throughout the school. And thirdly, we told you that because of the government, we have already invested a lot of money into this initiative, including firstly the research lab, secondly about the development of how we see it is likely the government is likely to push more initiatives to actually attract more people to come here to actually educate the new generations about this technology, how the engineering works, and improve their technological literacy at the very end. We see there is sorts of things, even in public school, we can already see STEM education. There are lots of for example, a lot of people have the incentive to actually hold a lot of competitions that are important in terms of, for example, holding competitions, etc. But even if the students that are in public school, the students have access to those resources. So we win on this slash on the likelihood of succeeding in cases like job security. And a certain pushback is about the information sharing. It talks about the companies, even if you have invested a lot in corporations, and there are many local businesses inside of Malaysia, they have a private incentive to actually fight for profits, so that it is unlikely to share the information. We think it is untrue. Firstly, we talk about because of the horizontal agreement within the realm of competition law, there are lots of companies that have the incentive, especially in the technological sector, they have the incentive to share information with others in person. For example, open sourcing and more mutual information, etc. And secondly, because what this benefits each of the company is that they can make them more efficient as to extend how to exploit their current resources and to actually scale up their progress in terms of technological research and development, etc. So we believe that the third thing is in line with government initiative and a lot of governmental support also validating our approach. So we say it's likely that the companies are tend to be more favorably to actually work with each other instead of turning it into a very antagonistic environment. mentioned today. So firstly about framing, what is it particularly important for our case on like how to actually like improving and enlarging the supply chain locally in Malaysia? What is it? Firstly, we think the localization is essential in terms of like chips and semiconductors. Because firstly, we think there is already a trend of globalization of the US. The Inflation Reduction Act by the Joe Biden administration already passed by that they actually want to like shift the supply chains within different states in the US. And so the demand from other countries and reliance on other countries is increasingly increasing. So secondly, when it comes to the domestic demands of the people and also the companies and companies inside Malaysia, they also need to shift. Because Chantel already told you why it's so important because it's fundamental to each and single new technology and innovation in the space. And thirdly, we say there is an increasing kind of protectionist need of the supply chain. So not only the US but also the COVID and the wars and worldwide make it hard to shift the cost or even make the shift cost increase. So that we say it is more important for Malaysia to actually take in charge of its own supply chain to actually gain more leverage on, for example, like lower prices in terms of like supply, because like they no longer have to be placed on over reliance on others. And secondly, and also like so why is it important, especially in nowadays study? We say firstly, let's do an incentive point of view as how US are likely to collaborate with Malaysia in the very first place. So we say the early Asian strategic partnership with US is Taiwan, right? And the TSMC initiative. We say because of the Taiwan political risk with China is increasingly intensified. For example, like it is high likely that China will actually invade Taiwan, or even if not, there is still a security like issue within the region. We say it is far more safe for US to actually play a safety card to diversify the political risk within like Asian countries, because like they can no longer only rely on TSMC in Taiwan, but also can diversify to another Asian country in that particular scenario. And why is it Malaysia and all other Asian countries? First, we have already told you that Malaysia has the upper hand in ASEAN, and that means that like the future economic collaboration, including like bilateral or multilateral collaboration, Malaysia always has the advantage to actually fight for the favorable trade deals. It means that like the economic development and also the scale of the technological development in Malaysia is far much more likely than other Asian countries, even like within the same like as to what we have already characterized to you. So it is the tipping point of like US to actually transform and much diversify its risk to actually invest in a more strategic way, investing in one of the Asian countries. So what is the impact of our case? First, we say in terms of like international relations, the political and economic power in Malaysia is exponentially increasing under our work. Because firstly, point to how Malaysia is likely to use right and exploiting the narrative of our people who are being more technologically literal. And secondly, they no longer they talk about like why FDI is more likely to work for example, will lose the competitive advantage of, for example, being a manufacturer. But we argue that the manufacturing industry is actually the lowest value added industry. We believe that given all the advantages that Malaysia now is sharing, its strategic is the best political incentive for Malaysia to actually transform its economics to become one of the best semiconductor suppliers in Asia. What is it likely to attracting foreign direct investment? First, we say because of the US collaboration, it's more likely that like for the global investors, they'll actually think that it's safe for me to actually back my money into Malaysia. Because firstly, even if they went insolvent, there is always US companies to actually help them to actually avoid the worst foreign business that is insolvency. And secondly, we say all the policies of the US trade deals favoring Malaysia will also incentivize the FDI sector. So FDI happens a lot more in our world. So why this impact is important? Because firstly, we say like it is time, like throughout our benches of the house, I already explained to you why job security is the most important argument, one of the most important arguments in today's world. Because like it is crucial to actually like improve and actually improving like citizens' resilience and ability to live challenge in the world. If they say that like what about the skilled workers will be unfair to them? Firstly, this is symmetrical on both sides because of the like introduction of the AI and also the job replacement because of AI and automation. Those people are going to lose their jobs anyway. And secondly, we better equip people on the grassroots or the public education system to actually better their And finally, we talk about like what can be improved, improve the comprehensive national power of Malaysia, the entire development, more resources to public, for example, like healthcare and education would be exponentially larger. So that we place all of their heart, and we're so very proud to affirm. Thanks.
In order for Malaysia to take their place, we think that they need to be better than the corporations that are already active in the
administration grade, Charles here. My high school grade teachers who call me here, Louis, Ricky, Chantel, Eunice, thanks. Affirmative stands for a side in which the Malaysian government is willing to invest in long term and not a side which is unwilling to take risks to give the Malaysian people a hope for economic transition and for a higher growth. Before that, three points in my speech today. A, to counter the pushback on how we never provided access mechanism. B, how renewal and principal factories so hold us debate on the workers' right and providing and building the better nation economy are still the principal clash. Thirdly, even if it would be the next cartel, why do we still win in the interest of Malaysian government? I think that the negative push today on that is just very simple, right? They say, there's TSMC, there's Intel, there's Apple. Why should we invest in the Malaysian growing economic industry? I think it's quite intuitive for an investor to try to pursue a higher risk strategy in pursuing investing in an Asian country which recognizes small, untapped market potential for British market, and thereby potentially use significant return, right? For example, no one really believed that Taiwan could build TSMC before the substantial investment put into TSMC and thereby rebuild the economic miracle that is TSMC, right? I think that because investors have significant attention on Asia, I think Asian heritage already allows for them to stand in the first place, right? The second push is to say, you cannot let Intel or TSMC open up and thereby expose Malaysian companies on providing processes, right? I think our government does not rely on that. Because the hiring process exists, right? If the Malaysian government is already willing to settle and thereby it puts a significant amount in human market, I think, because they're quite willing to also hire executive employees to train up local engineers to build substantial local companies. I think we are here to assume that the human talent is going to work. Just see, right? I think that just because of the relative full size of investment, I think people are willing to see the relative risk to return in investing in a relatively new and risky environment. And therefore, we can at least prove to you that relationship economics is a somewhat interest to some investors who are willing to invest in growing market. I think we at least prove to you that there's somewhat an interest, and thereby we at least can prove to you that it's likely for the panel to believe that there is some form of Malaysian investment that will diversify, providing some effect. B, for the push on principle, I think their principle is relatively very serious, i.e., that if the Malaysian government or any government shouldn't pursue any economic transition just because you've got existing workers' interests. But you should know that all economic interests and decisions are inevitably involving trade-off, i.e., when you benefit some groups, some other groups will never be hurt. Just because some groups together is not absolute principle for any government, so therefore not call that any form of economic transition. I.e., you still have to ultimately look at the relative risk and return and what is best for the economic growth for the whole Malaysian society to develop a high-growth Malaysian economy for people to actually believe in the Malaysian future in the long term, right? I think we can prove today that. Because I think that if Malaysia is a currently quite stagnant economy, requires some sort of incentive. Therefore, and they offer no solace as to why people who are, as Chantel established you, currently enjoying high form of wage, unwilling to stay in Malaysia to invest and build Malaysia better. I don't think that existing and continuing the current economic policy, which is proved to be a failure, even which is uncontended, is able to reverse the to have a home, to have economic future. But even if you believe them, our principles are that law, why do we still win? Because what is an economic interest ultimately, and how do you prove that something is within the economic interest of a state? I think a failed nation-led strategy is in a high-rising country, and it is at least here a long triangle wall. Because the failure is not that we cannot establish the next KSMC or the next Apple will happen in Malaysia. We can, I think, like, the real failure is like absolutely no any form of ship companies are willing to invest and build Malaysia. I think it's quite unlikely and just like quite unusual to say that upon putting plump of US billions within the market, no company will be willing or interested in capitalizing in the industry. Right? I think that this simple intuition proves that there will be at least some form of Malaysian tech companies, maybe not like ASS, but it's a mini Intel. I think it's still very much a mini Intel within Malaysia, for people who are very much interested and technically provisioned to stay in Malaysia to lead a lucrative career. I think the frame of us case is that there's once you can prove that there's a strategic investment in one of the most high-growth industry, even by virtue of signaling, increases people's potentially invest and stay in Malaysia to attract more foreign direct investment for R&D chip investment. Their side never offers any counter alternative and comparator to why would they even substantially reverse the current Malaysian economic stagnancy. I think it is better for Malaysian government to have at least shown to the Malaysian people that they were even and ultimately the man is a wash and the man is never spent, right? I think even if the Malaysian government invested and failed, it is very much a good signal for the Malaysian people to feel hopeful about their own government and thereby at least does not feel very desperate to stay within their government to work. I think this is also very much a significant impact to the Malaysian people, which is very much in their interest because otherwise Malaysia will be a state which is prove and have this narrative that they are unwilling to produce and invest in higher industry. We stand for the side of growth and future. Thank you.
Before starting my speech, I would like to shout out my special teammates and also the student contingent who I served for the president for the 2 semesters. Clash wave and second impact wave. First of all, I think there were 3 clashes coming from this debate. First of all, the possibility of success, and second of all, information, technology information sharing, and third of all, about the US helping Malaysia or not. I think the first class is the most important and impactful coming from this right out because their impact is highly contingent of, this policy is automatically a national disease, and those we are having this large impact. However, if the side makes a specific target and we got against the clash first, the possibility of success could never be proved by the side out. The side net is automatically win for this debate. First of all, let's talk about the possibility of success. I think they're based on the max DFT for the capacity. For example, the brief and violent rule is not mutually exclusive and not is entirely measured for the is not mutually exclusive for the semiconductor industry. In two layers of analysis why this is true. First of all, in terms of other alternative industrial fields, for example, manufacturing and also agriculture, even in this case, Indonesia is a member of the BRICS, can have a competitive edge because they are in the same economic alliance with the other countries existing in the world. So this means they couldn't prove the exclusivity that the fact that they are in the members of the BRICS could automatically exclusively get the benefit for the semiconductor industry, but not for the other industrial fields that Malaysia is currently concentrating on. Secondly, also there might be a fierce competition with the BRICS or other bilateral countries as well. So their simple version of Malaysia characteristics couldn't directly advocate and support why semiconductors might be the most viable option for this Malaysia herself. And second, why Malaysia must be chosen as the only winner within the semiconductor competition. So this means they have not proven the exclusivity why this semiconductor industry must be the only option, and why within the semiconductor industry, the Malaysia should be the only winner in this debate. And second of all, I would also talk all, because they are unable to really shift from primary sector to the semiconductor sector. Because the semiconductor sector, as they call it, is a technology-centric industry. So this means for those that to succeed in the semiconductor sector, they need to be educated, they need to be highly trained, and this means for the most vulnerable people living in Malaysia, they are not possible and not possible for them to freely and consistently shift to the semiconductor industry. And second of all, I would like to prove that the occupying the major portion of the work from Malaysia is already having the jobs in the agriculture or manufacture or coal mining industry. So this means they are just neglecting those most vulnerable and most majority portions that are using in the demographic of Malaysia. And second of all, I would like to prove that the key for Malaysia is to just focus on the main industrial field that they are currently concentrating on. Because they have the competitive edge within main industry, that because they are having the competitiveness within the other countries in the world. And also, we would like to prove that because in the current status quo, if they try to focus on more industrial, they are already having the competitive edge against the other countries. Do not have to invest large initial costs. So this means they have high marginal utility so that there are more money for the Malaysian government. And this could only exclusively happen inside Malaysia, so that we could bring the trickle down and other trickle down effect and other welfare and healthy policies for the Malaysian people. And therefore, I would like to prove that the most vulnerable people are unable to be succeed in the training process. First of all, the problem with the fact of today's debate is that they never meant or characterize how their training will look like. So I would like to prove that they couldn't actually guarantee good training process in their side of the world. And second of all, again emphasizing, those beneficiaries who got advantages for this policies and this training process wouldn't be the most vulnerable and wouldn't be the most majority demographics living in Malaysia in the current status quo. And second of all, let's talk about the tech information sharing. It is quite awkward and awful for those who decide average and is correct out and claiming on. They said that because we have this corporation have an incentive to have tech information sharing, they could overcome the limitations in Malaysia to actually enter as a first mover for this industry. However, first of all, the problem was that there was no mechanism and they didn't prove the problem on the first place. Because as the claim implies, the competition within the semiconductor industrial fields are being more aggressive and hostile. And say that this means there's no reason for the government of other nations, like for example Taiwan or other like South Korea, and the private corporations, for example like TSMC or the Samsung, to lead and disclose their know-how to Malaysia because that will only increase the competition within that industrial field. Considering that, especially semiconductor industries, the research that gain the competitiveness is the information, and then for example the structure of semiconductors, how it has been designed, and this information is usually hard to invent from the first place, but easy to copy and duplicate. I would like to prove and emphasize there's no reason for the corporations and the government to share this sensitive information because this will only cause and lead to fierce competition within the industry, meaning that they won't lose the advantage and economic benefit they are having now. And second of all, however, even if these most benevolent events and content will point out they might share the information to some extent, first of all, the problem is that the information in and of itself might not be that high quality, and second of all, the products made by Malaysia might not be able to gain the differentiation within semiconductors. This means this are going to be regarded as identical goods, which means low quality of semiconductors producing in Malaysia. And again, the digital economic value, the two semiconductors it generates and creates within the Malaysia would not be that high anymore. Compared to the magnitude of money that has been invested for this single policy, I think this is the obviously net loss in the economy of Malaysia. And therefore, the US might choose to engage in Malaysia. First of all, I think this country with a brief idea and argument coming from the side up. Now, US and Western countries are being quite conservative and we are afraid of the power of China that is growing and being large. That's the reason why they are doing friendshoring or onshoring nowadays. So this means this proves two things. First of all, why US has no incentive to redraw investment to the TSMC because the China itself is so important geopolitical territory. And as Malaysia starts to rely on the potential power and allies with China,
Mr. Speaker, at the start of today's debate, we heard about how technology may benefit our country, right? We think that what we cite negative stats for in today's debate is not that we do not want technology to enter Malaysia or whatsoever, but it is that by keeping our focus on our strongest point, our strongest industry where we already have a certain leverage upon in the international society, we'll be able to promote economic growth as well as international influence, which is already ensured in the status quo. We think that all the influence and all the benefits that they seem that they can possibly reap from actually investing in their business can be also fulfilled throughout by our contractor where we actually work on things that are already strong and where we already have the infrastructure, already have people who are used to those kind of industries at the end of the day. And yeah, having said this, Bloomberg was like a Affirmative brings to the table in today's debate. They seem to portray themselves as their side having to promote growth and whatnot. We think that growth does not necessarily have to happen from the semiconductor industry. We fully find that there are different types of industries we can actually promote and have better infrastructure upon and have leverage upon. We do not think that we heard of clear mechanism or exclusiveness of the semiconductor business. But we think that especially so, we can prove to you today and like we succeeded to in today's debate about what is going to benefit in investing in these kind of industries are unlikely to reap the benefits that they actually promote for. It is not promoting growth, but rather promoting investment of huge allocations of budget into businesses that they have no very little possibility of succeeding at the end of the day. We think that all these alternative mechanisms that they push for was focused on why investment is likely to take place. Number two, why education is always feasible, and number three, about how they will have leverage and more price and because it is more efficient because they have the minerals and whatnot. We think that the counter mechanism that we're proposed to in today's debate actually denies all these kind of premises, right? We're already proving that it's not really a problem of investment, although it is difficult to get the investment itself. But we're already looking from the very characteristics of the semiconductor business, why it's very difficult for new actors to actually enter the semiconductor market, and why there's very little technological advancements that is likely to take place. Therefore, when we actually clarify why there's very little room for the Malaysian people to actually enter the market, we do not think that we think that they fail to prove why investment is going to be enough to actually overcome certain kind of interest barriers at the end of the day. But not only that, we think that we already touched upon why it is difficult and it is infeasible to gain leverage in terms of price within the technological market. We told you about many levels of analysis and characteristics of the technological market, why those kind of digital companies and MNCs like Microsoft and whatnot, those not rather focus on low price, but rather high quality and high technology that then they can provide to the customers. We think the characterization of the market itself was what we push for inside together, which kind of denies their entire mechanization of their points about how their mechanism is going to succeed. But not only that, we have very different analysis about how the continuity of the long-term strategies is unlikely to take place due to the dominant party changing and whatnot. We heard no clear response coming to those kind of points, but we pointed out when even if we take them to this, their benefits are likely to be reached in the long run. We do not think that it is feasible to be reached at the end of the day. Having said that, let's really talk about who benefits the people and manufacturing business in the South. So which is the major business and where a lot of the majority of Malaysians is focusing on the South. Because we can assume that we have the same budget on our side. What we can do for these people is to allocate subsidies to MNCs who are willing to opt in and to pay our citizens and actually secure their job opportunities. Because from our local business, manufacturing industries and whatnot, and therefore I think that we're able to protect the most vulnerable people because we're already telling our very first native speaker why these people who are already in manufacturing business is unlikely to the recipients of the benefits that they provide in today's debate. Therefore, we clearly think that when we're able to focus on our strongest industries where the majority of our citizens are actually opting in right now, we're able to not only protect our citizens but as well as promote growth in a more feasible way that we already see is happening in the South Pole. Therefore, we clearly think the side benefit should be this great goal.
Poverty is the fundamental root cause of human sufferings. We see in our work, at least we can promote post-generation poverty. We see the counterfactual is people Malaysia become less adaptable and less resilient under the trend of AI transformation and automation that comes along with the job mismatch and replacement. And secondly, we say what does Team Nine actually want today? At the end of the day, they only prove themselves that protect the most vulnerable people in order to keep the low value adding economic model in Malaysia. We say in that kind of model, we don't see what life in our world is there comparatively worse, because in your world, at least they're still stuck in a capitalist cycle that has to be exploited of the MNC. You're doing most of the work, but in exchange, you're being paid the least. We say they did not prove at all why the general happiness of people and quality of life of those most vulnerable people are likely to increase in the world, and that's their burden in this day. And also, like in our work, when we successfully promote a high value added industry, at least we say in long term, the higher amount and higher capacity for the government to invest in the public social welfare system is larger. It means that it also includes the benefits and welfare of the most vulnerable group of people that they care the most in this day. So we say at least Malaysia now no longer have to pursue their tech career in the West, alienating themselves from their countrymen. A future society created on our side promotes the norms and resources to actually bring good to the general public to learn about the latest trends and better equip their overall packages. In their best case scenario, their first argument is about FBI and like how they will use the capacity edge of all the existing manufacturing jobs. Firstly, we say even if we bite the bullet and say that okay, there is some certain level of transition time, for example, because of the shift of the factor of location of Malaysia, let's do a comparative way here. Firstly, we say the first impact from our house is a direct job openings offering to the teenagers and the young adults. And secondly, we bring you an increasing level of overall wealth of the nation. And thirdly, we say we further incentivize government to actually compensate those people who suffer from this transition time. And fourthly, we say weigh between the beneficiaries between proposals. We benefit young adults who also have the capability to actually take care of the elderly or the unskilled workers that they're talking about. Because those group of people are likely to be slightly older than the young generation because of the same educational disparity. So that at least we have a higher capacity for the teenagers to also take care of them because of the deeply entrenched familial responsibility in Malaysian culture. And finally, what's their next step of their nation? What's their next step of economic development? They did not even doubt it. So secondly, they talk about their bad case about like how companies are self-centered. While in our work, we say companies are not self-centered, they're actually willing to share the information because of the efficiency. It seems like a dead law, but even if you accept their characterization, we say it's good, competition is good. Private incentive to compete for the better is good because you always have the incentive to outperform others. It means that you have to actually capitalize more on your human resources and also how you better yourself so that the overall quality out of this competition is good. So the tech product is good and the hardware. So it's always better to have competition and develop why this competition is likely to be malicious and why competition will bring more harm than good in this case. So we say in terms of vulnerability, we talk about the unskilled workers are vulnerable. But we actually say because of the poor because of the low value industry, the moment that we break this dialogue and bring this strategic movement of the Malaysian government, at least we say we can lessen the long-term human suffering and to let Malaysia free from exploitation under this type of society. So proud of her.